Welcome. Happy Friday, Pat. We've got some stuff going on today. Did you freeze already on me? No, I'll unmute your mic here. Something's going on. Your mic is muted. Check yours on your end. See what happens. So we've got a lot to talk about today because things have been brutal. Still trying to unmute your mic. You can see the interest rates. There we go. You should be up. Are you there? Say something.
I'm here. Yep.
Okay. Right. See, when you say something, it helps.
Hey there.
So you're killing me, Schmalls.
No kidding.
We've already got some comments in the comment section. I'm going to get to you guys in a few minutes, but man, what a week it has been. If we look, we got some numbers that came out. I'm just going to read a couple to you, Pat. It said the resale median price was $440,000, down 1.1% from last year, and down the same percentage from August. So we're down 1%. The new home median sales price was $479,102, down 7.4 from last year and down 4.2 from August. But here's really the real eye opener for us right now, this sea of red that we're seeing in the Cromford market indexes by city. Chandler taking another huge 25% plunge in the CMI. They're still in a seller's market at 201, but then we've got three on the bottom here, actually four that are in what they call balanced market right now. I'd say closer to a buyer's market, 90, 90, 91, 95. So it's, we have changed dramatically in the past 3 weeks because of rates, and we're going to show your numbers here in just a moment. But now here's the one that really caught my attention the past couple days, and that is my 7-day moving average, where our contracts have gone down to 2,300. We've been rocking about 24.5, and then new listings, they don't have to move much. Here you're sitting there at 35.51, goes up to 36.49, so it goes up 100. But 100 homes in a market with this low of transaction makes a big deal. So you went up 100, 200, 300, 400, went down a little bit on the 7-day average today. So that's giving us a contract ratio of 60%. Now, I want to see this trend out another week or two. But the last time we saw contract ratio below 65%, we saw some price changes considerably, coming down. Having said that, though, we came at 65% at a time when we flew up to 17,000, 19,000 listings. And we're still right now only at 15,000. And our active listings in total are still moving up. And we just talked before we came on and said at this rate, 300 to 400 a week will be, 17,000 by the end of January. What's really going to throw that off is November and December as being notoriously slow anyway. So I think the rate of new listings in a few weeks is going to drop. It's just going to like letting the air out of the tire. So I don't see that number popping up. So getting up to 19,000, probably difficult. But rates, as you can see down below, what are you showing today? 7.79 or something like that?
Yeah, about
7.84.
7.84, correct. Today we had the job data come out. Obviously, it's a surprise. It was 336,000 versus a forecast about 170,000. But there's a lot of stuff behind that. There was a gentleman on Business Network that said the last 3 months there's been 692,000 job loss in full-time jobs the last 3 months, but they're replacing them with lower paying jobs. So it's been just, the rates today, when the numbers came out, the job numbers came out, the market got slapped around right away. It was down like 60 basis points, but it came back today. Now we've moved from the 5.5% coupon to the 6% coupon, because basically they move up a coupon based on the water level on rates. So we've gone from, 2.5 to 3 to 3.5 to 4 to 5, 5.5, 6. Now we're at 6. So that was down. That finished the day at 30, down 34 basis points. The 10-year Treasury finished at 480 at a high at 487 today. But you can see this right here. I mean, basically this right in here. Let's see if I can get my drawing. Oh boy, I thought this thing could draw now. I'm supposed to be able to draw this.
Mine comes and goes.
Yeah. No, it was a drawing. It's right in here. We've seen this rise since August. Actually, August, yeah, September 1st. We are 410 on the Treasury. Now we're at 480. So it's just been just a circus. Right now, I mean, you're looking at just a pullback on to show up rates here. I mean, I'm just pulling up one of the top lenders on my loan sifter. I mean, you're seeing right now 7.875 is a cost of $1,100. I mean, so on a $475,000 purchase with 10% down, you're looking at a principal and interest of about $3,100. And if you go back to say the mid 6 range, that payment would have been $2,702. So you're looking at an increase of about $400 a month. Just in payment, just in principal and interest.
Yeah,
and the thing of it is,
well, and that's why we're going to segue into affordability.
yeah. I mean, and you look at the rate chart. This is kind of what I look at, the discount points to get down to that rate. I mean, we're a good 6 points away from, the low sixes. So we got some work to do. I mean, back in March, April, did some loans, locked people at say 6 and 8. I think I got a couple of people at 5.875 back in March, April. Now it costs you, based on this rate chart, $33,000 to get down to 5.875.
Holy cow!
Where back in March, April, that probably would have been a cost of $1,500, $2,000 or so, let's say, give or take. Now it's cost you $33,000 to get to 5.875. So
and that's why it's real important when you're out shopping for rates to ask, and what are the fees? Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I mean, a lot of lenders now, I'm not going to name names. One starts with a Q. They'll quote a rate of, let's say, 6.875, but they're charging you 3.5 points to get to there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, right now with rates being at where they're at. Once again, you've heard me say this once, maybe 10 times. I don't know about buying, maybe doing a 2-1 buy down is smart, but to actually put money to the bank to buy the rate down at this rate doesn't really make much economic sense in my book.
No, you're not going to get that back, and you're better off negotiating a lower price on the home if you can too. And running at altitude here says more realtors than homes for sale. That's always been the case. We have between 60 and 80,000 agents. In fact, the busier we get, the more agents that we have. And so it's that's always been the case. But a lot of agents that are out there, they have a license. Doesn't mean they use it. It means sometimes they hold a license just so they can fix and flip their own properties. Well, let me ask you a question here, because we talked about this earlier in the week, and it was spurred by a question that we had. A gentleman was giving an example of a $1.2 million home up in Scottsdale and saying the payment on this one would be X amount and the rent would be another, like $3,500 a month. And the payment was at 20% down, was considerably more than
like 7,000, was it?
Than the rent. Yeah, it was like, 7,500. But I think, and all of that's true. And we're going to get down into the 400,000 range, kind of run through a couple scenarios here. But I think when you tell me if I'm wrong in my mindset here, when you get in that price range between 1 and 2 million, those are homes that people are stepping up to. They're not going in and putting 20% down. If they are, they're doing it because they're doing something else with their cash. But as a rule, you buy your $350,000 house, you sell it for $450,000, and then you buy one for $600,000, and then, so you're taking that equity and you keep rolling it into the next house. You get it to that $1 million house. A lot of these people, from what I've seen, have put down like $500,000, $600,000.
Yeah. Or a lot of them. I mean, I'd say more realistically, I went through a thing. I would say 8 out of 10 pay cash.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because a lot of times you're dealing in the million and a half, $2 million range. Sometimes they're business owners. They got tax returns. They got 3 or 4 other properties. They got LLCs. They got sub S corporations. They got this and they don't want to. Typically, it's kind of funny, but they're like, I don't go through the pain and suffering of getting a mortgage. I'm just going to pay cash.
Yeah, and then we'll now roll that back down to the average sales price, which is, I think for our market, is $449. Okay, so if the average, so we'll just say that the average 3-bedroom, 2-bath home right now in Phoenix is $449. The average rent for that's running about, depending on the neighborhood, anywhere from $2,500 to $2,700, right?
Yep.
Okay, so if we take that 20% down payment with today's rates, what's the payment look like versus the $2,700 rent?
Well, I didn't run 20% because typically 440, I just ran 5%. And
That's usually what we see. Yeah.
5%. And I just said, what rate do we need to get the mortgage payment down to $2,700 on a $440,000 purchase with 5% down? The sweet spot is 5.5% because your PITI with homeowners insurance, taxes, HOA, I all threw that in there. That would be about $2,775. So a $440,000 purchase at 5.5% would be about equivalent to what the people are paying average rent right now.
Okay.
But right now, I ran the numbers. Obviously I talked to you before this, but I ran the numbers now at 7.75, and at 5.5 it was $2,775, but at 7.75 it's $3,396. So that's a about $620 a month difference.
So it's definitely much better to rent today than it is to buy in the average price range for most people. The catch-22 on that is we know that 5.5% makes that break even pretty good, but we also know that if we got down to 5.5, that average price of $449 probably wouldn't stay there for long.
Yeah. Probably go to $469. With the bidding wars.
Here come the crash, people.
Smalls, you're killing me.
Yeah.
Smalls, you're killing me.
So,
but I mean,
that's a simple look at affordability, and there's no doubt we're having a major affordability problem, and it's trying to shake out. The Fed is trying to pull things back, slow things down, but there's example of people saying, I'm out. I mean, just simply can't afford it. I'm out. What's going to make it shake loose? Obviously rates, what's going to make rates change? I don't know. But it's a very, very tricky market. I know people want me to project out long-term and say there's crash coming, but I'm not going to do that because the people that said that real estate was going to go down this year were wrong. And people that said that it was going to go up by 6 are already adjusting their estimates and saying it's going to go up by 3.5. And you can look at 2024 and they're all over the map. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm in that pay grade.
Yeah. I mean, the supply side seems like it's going to be, the supply and demand side. Demand side is going to be predicated. I think once again, we repeat ourselves until we're blue in the face, but it's, based on what I've running, just here looking at it is going to be interest rate, driven. I mean, even if, houses were to fall 10%, like from 440 down to 400, and keep it at the same interest rate, say at 7.75, that's only a $272 a month difference in your payment. But if rates were to, go down to say 5.5, basically you go from $33.96 to $27.75. So that's a $620 a month difference. So rates are going to definitely have a bigger impact on affordability than, homes. And the National Home Builders Association, I saw something just here the last couple of days that they said this supply problem is going to go through the end of the decade.
Yeah, and I'm going to show a chart that kind of says why we think that's going to be here in a minute. So I want I want to touch on our buddy Keto here. He who's been a long time subscriber, and he says the big tidal wave, I think is what he meant to say instead of tidal wave. Airbnbs is coming as rentals dry up and interest payments go up and negative cash flows. Airbnb magnitude could be a huge sell-off as demand drops for occupancy, yet the degree of being underwater drowns the greedy owners. The uptick in sell-offs would help you and Pat. Am I correct? I don't see a wave of Airbnb because a lot of people bought. I mean, sure, there's some people bought in 2022
Oh,
and
yeah,
put a pencil to it. But if you take all the Airbnbs we have right now and you put them for sale tomorrow, Saturday, we're still below normal in listings.
yeah,
So if you take a third of those, I think will be helpful. Yeah, as real estate is, we're chomping at the bit waiting for some of those because they're in really good shape. They come with furniture. They've been maintained. The Airbnbs, they're a good product. So I don't think they'll stay on the market once they do show up. But at the beginning of that, I think I don't see them having a cash flow problem. Just about every Airbnb owner that I talked to has been doing okay. Now, it could implode. Um, I remember when Tina Tambor of the Comfort Report was talking about Airbnb several years ago. She goes, "You can't be an expert in real estate and hospitality at the same time." So she was
hmm
urging people to be careful. So there could be some pain in the Airbnb industry if we get a big tourism hit. I agree, but I think they're just not going to show up.
no,
Um,
no. I don't
Terry's
think there's anything
saying
that's
we're
going
going
to
to bring
show up.
mass foreclosures and short sales. I don't see it. I don't
No,
see it.
I I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, and we can sit here and, go back and forth till we're blue in the face, but we're trying to dissect the information, give people obviously maybe some a little bit clearer picture of what the hell's going on out there. But mass foreclosures. I mean, there's trillions and trillions of equity out there. They're going to sell their house before they go into foreclosure. I mean, yeah, their foreclosures have. I get this list of foreclosures. I can't remember. It ticked up. It was like 130, 140, but we're not seeing thousands upon like we saw in. I mean, 08, 09 was just absolutely. I mean, insane, absolutely
Yeah,
insane.
well, even the eviction thing that Jackie's talking about here that hit the news, evictions are the highest number ever. Well, you couldn't even get into court if you were trying to evict somebody for a long time. There's been such a backlog of the normal amount of evictions that now they're just showing up like a big wave. Many of them probably they wanted to evict last year, but they couldn't. So that one we're going to have to wait and see what happens. I'm holding my cards close to my vest on that. I don't know if that's a big problem, but Pat, here's the one that I think is uh, uh, Airbnbs aren't even a good deal anymore. And Terry says people have equity but won't have a job. Well, we'll see. I don't know how bad that's going to get. Active
Yeah,
mortgages by interest rate and vintage. This is the best way to illustrate, I think, active mortgages right now. Let me explain it.
who was
See
talking
everything
about
here.
that earlier? Was
Yeah,
that was
everything
that
here in
was that?
green. Everything here in green is according to the color chart up here. Let me get out of this. Make sure I'm doing the right thing here. Is from 2020 on. Okay, that's when they took out the mortgage. So from 2020 on, these are the numbers of people that took out the mortgage, right? So the line that's
Mhm.
going this way.
Yep,
Here's the kicker. Look how many people have a mortgage rate below 3.875.
I know.
Now, if you go up here, the blue lines, that's just rolling it back just a few years. And you can see that in the blue, those numbers come from, let's see if this thing's going to let me, it's not going to let me roll it up. The majority of them are sitting at 4.875 and below. These here, the gray, were all written in 2010. So the this is, like it or not, right here. I'm going to try and pull this thing off. It's not letting me do it. This whole section right here is a majority of homeowners in the United States. They're sitting below 4.875 in rates.
Yep.
That's the story right there. You wonder why people aren't selling.
That's what have I been harping on the last year and a half, 2 years. This is what I've been harping on. And this is a phenomenon that we did not have. But people have to understand this is a phenomenon that we did not have in '06, '07, '08. We did not have this. And this changes the dynamic tremendously. It's just unbelievable. Did I lose you?
I came back.
Oh, okay, got it.
I just did that to throw you off.
Jesus. But I mean, we're
But I'm glad you kept talking, because last time I
Yeah,
dropped off, you just froze.
I froze. I know. I get stage fright.
What city or
You're like
town in
my,
America do you think the next real estate boom is going to be in? I don't think we're going to see a boom anytime
No,
soon. So I
I
don't
don't
think
see
so.
a boom going. No, I mean,
Federal Reserve's far more powerful than people thought. It can change our entire country. Yeah, no doubt. Jackie
yeah,
here said my Airbnb listed at 70-80% occupancy. A guy paid $265 a year ago, made $40,000 last year. He's only selling to move to another state. So, and then Carlos, I saw your message. Shoot me an email. Be glad to answer your questions for you. But
so,
Pat, your prediction for the next couple weeks on rates, if you were looking and you're considering locking, what do you think?
oh, I know you're gonna put me on the spot here right away like that. I should have given it some thought. I mean, we've been pushing. I mean, we could push higher. I mean, the market is doing the Federal Reserve job for the most part. So I think we're hitting that top peak. There seems to be some resistance. I think um, next couple weeks. I mean, right now, if you got a 30-day closing, it's hard to say. Right now it's almost like just lock and go because you know regardless. I've been telling some people, I go, we're in a hurricane. You're trying to use an umbrella in the hurricane, so it doesn't matter what you got over your head. Just lock it, whether it's 7.5, 7.75, 8. Now's not the time to get picky with rates because they're just basically shitty right now. So I mean,
Yeah, and
so it's
I've
not
been
like
saying
because you're
I've been
eventually going to
saying
hopefully. I mean, well, let me finish. I mean, I just don't see, like you said, to get picky at 7.3. Yes, it's more psychological, but 7.75, 7.78, 8. It's all just a crappy rate, and eventually we're going to get past this hurricane. So, like you said, it's like using a umbrella in a hurricane. It's not going to help. So, just if you're going to buy something, just try to get the best short term rate. Obviously, you might have a little bit. We're going to have intermittent periods, like 5 to 10 day periods where they soften up a little bit. You might be able to save a couple $1,000s here, on closing costs, which I've been able to do in the last couple of years is by watching the short term rates. But now we're at a period where 7.78, 8. Does it? I mean, I hate to say so flippantly, but does it really, really matter? Right now it sounds stupid, but I'm just being, hopefully that
well,
makes
I mean,
sense.
it's look, the rate's gone up enough to where it's knocked a lot of buyers out, but we've still got enough activity, surprisingly, to pick up the homes that are on the market. And if you were looking for the peak month to sell where we could call the prices at the top, it looks like that was August. And
Hmm.
that's behind you, but we're only down 1% from August. But I was saying, looking at the 7-day moving average and how things are changing, that September and October would be the ideal time if you were thinking of selling your home versus waiting until January. Now, looks like I'm going to be right on that one. And so if you were thinking of selling, October is still good. There's still enough moving out there. You can move your home. There's pockets where it's not going that well. I know Sun City is getting
Hmm.
kind of tough. Sun City, for some reason, is kind of hard to move some homes up there. Everybody's waiting for the snowbirds to show up, but I don't even know if that picks up activity that much up there. But it's there's a window here in October where you can move your listing and you don't have to be moving Thanksgiving Day. Rates are
Yeah.
still climbing. I think the survey I saw said that 30% of bond traders are assuming that there won't be a rate hike in November. So that's good there, which means they've already priced in that there's not going to be a rate hike, but
Mm-hmm.
November, December, it's going to be harder to sell your home than it is today. And I think January is going to be even harder. I don't see rates coming down in January, and I see more inventory just through the natural buildup of homes. I think January is going to be a tough sell for you if that's when you're waiting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Jackie said, if the house is in good shape and it's priced right, it sells. It is right now, but that peak period, I think, is in the rearview mirror right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, things have been slow on our end. I mean, mortgage apps are down. I saw a statistic or read something that mortgage applications are the lowest they've been since 1996. 1996. I mean, it's 20, 27 years ago. I
That's
mean,
when I moved
Jesus.
here. But but
Yeah.
and when I moved here in '96, the market here in Arizona was brisk. I mean, there was a lot of
Yeah.
new
Oh, yeah.
building things are going on. It was, I mean, we looked at new construction. Every place we went to, the sales office was packed. Chandler was, and Ahwatukee is where we were looking. It was busy as all get out. So, um, but I had no concept back then of where we were statistically in the market. That you couldn't. There was no Zillow. You couldn't look
Yeah.
up any statistics on Redfin like you can today. And so today, because we have so much information, it's easier for people to draw some conclusions too that are right and wrong. So, um, I
Yeah.
think we're drowning in information, and we're trying to flood you as
Yeah.
well.
Tell
So,
me about it. And when you got ADHD like I do, I swear to, in the train, I got a bunch of train tracks going through my head every day.
yeah, I need to get that fixed.
But I mean, yeah, I know. I gotta get that train. I guess stop at the main station. But
Well, it
I
hasn't
just was
derailed,
thinking.
so
I
you got that
mean,
going for you.
yeah, it hasn't
I think
derailed yet. No, I haven't had a oil spill. But I just think we're going through hell. The old saying is, when you're going through hell, keep on going. I mean, real estate's it's been tough. I feel bad. Once again, people are saying I get these emails. These 1% down programs. Will help with closing costs. I mean, all this stuff is. I mean, I just throw this stuff out the window because it's. I don't. If people get help with the down payment, it boils down to an affordability issue. So I could
yeah.
give them all the down payment assistance programs that they I coming out of my butt, but it doesn't matter if they can't afford it when their payment is what $3,400 when it should be about $2,500 or 2,400, 2,600. I mean, with the inflation going up like it has and the rates for the payment, it's smacked the first time home buyer right in the face.
Well, you're also seeing a lot of real estate agents right now on some of the Facebook forums that I'm on going, "Hey, what's the best way to find buyers?" Hey, what was the one I read this morning that just cracked me up? It goes, "Is there an algorithm out there that tells you uh, when and by how much you should lower the price of the house?" There are agents out there that are just looking to be able to click a button to find an answer instead of, if you analyze the market and you understand your numbers and you know where you're priced, you don't need an algorithm. You just need to understand and have that conversation before the house is listed that says, "Hey, we're going to list it. And if in 1 week we don't have any foot traffic, we're going to have another conversation and we may want to come down $10,000 to $20,000." But these new agents are like, is there an algorithm out there?
Mm-hmm.
And running at altitude, yeah, realtors, lenders, appraisers, inspectors, all hurting right
Yeah.
now. Actually, Dylan is doing pretty good. He's killing it with new construction. He's an inspector. You got something coming up there with PP Powell there. So collapse in Treasury bonds now ranks among the worst crash in history.
Interesting.
Oh no, here you go.
Yeah. I mean, these, I just like look at these. Look at these. Look at these articles. The articles I'm seeing. The collapse in Treasury bonds now ranks as among the worst market crash. I think obviously talk about this, but it's amazing. We since it says here, it says T bonds with maturities of 10 years or more have plummeted 46%. That's just incredible. Um, there's another article here saying, that pulled up on why the Fed again will have to slash rates to zero and relaunch QE. The home buyers' budgets are now tightening up. So there's a lot of stuff out there that people are trying to figure out, and I think you and I have talked about it where you just got to sit down and, cut out the noise and try to figure out what you as a family, afford, where you want to be, you said maybe renting right now is better for a while, obviously until things do. But if rates, like you said, if rates come down, we're going to see that rush again.
Yeah, I think so.
So
I'm not, I'm short-term pessimistic right now when it comes to volume, but I'm not, I want to make sure everybody understands where my head's at on this. This isn't a bad thing. If I'm glad I'm not seeing bidding wars and house prices getting even crazier, because they could. Whenever money's free, like it was, an asset grows like crazy. So I would really like to see us reach somehow, even if it takes us 5 to 10 years, an opportunity of affordability like I had back in the 80s, where you didn't have to have an exorbitant income to get in the house. I'd like to see some affordability where my boys can get into a house. My advice to my middle son right now is don't buy. Right now I'm telling him, don't hang in there. There's too much out there that we're watching where it could go either way. And right now in your neighborhood where you want to live, my advice is for you to sit on your hands. Wait, you got a real estate agent telling somebody not to buy? If I see numbers that don't look good, I'm going to tell you, sit on your hands for a while. But there are plenty of opportunities for people that are finding the house they want and a payment that they like, that are making the move, or they're forced into a move. They're getting transferred. You've got, you're moving to another city. So there's a lot of that still going on. And, I know when I got transferred and got promotions going to different states, I couldn't tell you what the real estate economy was like where I was going. I had no clue. I think I was the dark cloud of real estate. I called myself. It's like I got to California and they had all these defense layoffs. I got to New York and the governor was cutting. We went from Cuomo to Pataki. And so he laid everybody off in Albany. Where did I buy a house? Albany. I get out to Rochester, New York, where Kodak is, and Kodak started laying everybody off. And I was, the Ebola virus of real estate is what they called me. So, but there was nothing to look at. So, well, Pat, we'll come back next week. We'll take another peek at this. And I appreciate everybody logging in, the millions and millions of people that we had show up today. And we're going to start a GoFundMe account for you for a new internet connection. Now, I've had Starlink on my trip. I want to let people know, if you're considering Starlink,
I'm calling
they have made some amazing improvements in the Starlink satellite system lately, where the speeds have almost doubled. And I tested mine out at Lost Dutchman State Park. Went out there for just a night, and I was getting about 200 download out of a satellite. But they're coming out with smaller satellite dishes that are the same size as an iPad Pro, which is incredible. And thanks, Danila. Good to see you again. So and their house plans are like 120 a month. So if you don't have any trees behind you and you want a decent internet connection,
thank you,
Starlink
thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So
I'll get my.
Get yours going. Start right now. Make the phone call. Everybody have a great weekend. Pat, you too. Take care.